Welcome to Football Scientific. I'm Aaron Sauter, professor of football science. We've had a busy few days of coaches being hired in the NFL, more interviews in the NFL. It's kind of a dead week here for the actual NFL coverage because of the Pro Bowl and because Super Bowl teams were getting their plans together for the week, hotels and all that stuff, all the logistics, okay? So that's why they have this down week, so teams can kind of get ready to go make the trip to the Super Bowl and plan that whole thing out. So we are in a spot where we're going to cover a little bit of NFL stuff, but then we looked ahead and we saw something. We saw that the UFL teams all have coordinators now, offensive and defensive coordinators. That's right, all the UFL teams have offensive and defensive coordinators. That's pretty cool. So they're making progress as we get closer to training camp. The Orlando Storm's roster is full. Most teams are still in flux with their players. CFL, things are coming along pretty quickly as we head into free agency. So it's a pretty exciting time for football across the board. But we're just going to go through and talk about the most recent news and have a great time. Todd, you anything to add? Yeah, there's been a lot of news out there, and we just got to keep on keeping on. We're just doing a lot of data analysis. And Professor, didn't you write an article yesterday? Yes, I did write an article about it. I ranked the top 30 free agents in 2026 on FOOTBALLanalysis1.com, so check that out. It's also on MSN under FOOTBALLanalysis1.com, I believe. And then also remember I write about the CFL and CFLNewsHub.com, and I write about the UFL, UFLNewsHub.com. I'm going to do some research on these Orlando Stone coordinators and see if I can put together an article on that today. So that should be pretty fun on UFLNewsHub.com. Todd, anything else to add? I don't think so. Let's break it down. All right, let's break it down. Here we go. So, first, in the NFL, Cleveland Browns have hired former Ravens offensive guard Todd Monken as their new head coach. He's kind of like the man with the shortest straw here, though. He got left. He doesn't seem excited about the job. It's his first NFL head coaching job, though, so you have to be excited about that. But this Browns thing's a mess, including on the coaching level, where Jim Schwartz was reportedly furious about Todd Monken being the head coach, because Todd Monken really hasn't got anything done in the NFL other than lose some playoff games. And Jim Schwartz, even though he had Lamar Jackson, who I think is a pretty good quarterback, Jim Schwartz, I guess, is mad. The Browns would like to keep him, but he seems angry, and he might move on. But it depends if he can get another job. The problem with becoming a coach for the Browns, as Todd Monken's going to find out, is it's hard to get another job. It's kind of like a quarterback and coach graveyard. But Kevin Stefanski got out, and Stefanski got out and got signed by the Falcons, another coach graveyard. So, you can always go from one graveyard to the other, I guess. The Eagles, Packers quarterback coach Sean Mannion is getting a second interview with the Eagles for their offensive coordinator position. New York Jets, they're hiring Dolphins defensive passing game coordinator as their new DC. I didn't write his name down. Sorry about that. Green Bay Packers hired Bobby Babich. That was the Bills defensive coordinator. He'll be their passing game coordinator. Miami Dolphins. Former New York Giants running back coach Liddell Betts is going to take the same job with the Miami Dolphins. So he got cut free by John Harbaugh, most likely. Cleveland Browns, Todd Monken's bringing former Baltimore Ravens offensive line coach George Warhop with him to the Browns. As someone he has familiarity with. LA Chargers. They have requested an interview with Jim Leonard for their defensive coordinator position. But they hired a defensive coordinator, so that's old news. And he's now simply going to move on to the Buffalo Bills interview. He would probably be a good fit for it, honestly. So I would support Jim Leonard being the defense coordinator of the Buffalo Bills. New York Jets, they have completed 5 interviews for their OC position yesterday. Darrell Bevell, Ronald Curry, Frank Reich is the front runner. Greg Roman and Lunda Wells from the Cowboys. Frank Reich is reportedly the front runner to be the Jets' new offensive coordinator. It's probably a tough decision for him to accept that job. Pittsburgh Steelers today have interviewed Patrick Graham for their DC position. Reportedly, he's the favorite, so he might not leave Pittsburgh without a contract today. He might be signed hired by Pittsburgh if he wants the job to be their defense coordinator. And that would be a pretty good spot to fit into. If you're going to be the DC at Pittsburgh, that's a pretty good fit. They have a good defense. Okay. LA Chargers new defense coordinator is from Western Michigan University. Defense coordinator Chris O'Leary. Baltimore Ravens, as we mentioned, they requested to interview Jim Leonard as their DC. And he is also going to interview for the Buffalo Bills DC job. I hope he gets the Buffalo Bills one. I think he's pretty okay. Las Vegas Raiders and Arizona Cardinals have been granted access to Clint Kubiak this week before the Super Bowl week, but it has been mutually agreed upon by Clint Kubiak, the Raiders, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks. So I think it's like Kubiak, the Raiders, Seahawks, they can meet. And then Kubiak, Cardinals, Seahawks, they can meet. So they're not interrupting the Seahawks preparations, but it still gives them a chance to get out there and get a look. Okay, we have some UFL news. Removed from rosters, released from rosters. We have Columbus Aviators defense tackle Paris Shand. And Louisville Kings, we have cornerback Andrew Booth. And St. Louis Battlehawks wide receiver Taylor Morin was released. Signed to the rosters, DC defenders. It's hard not to just say defensive coordinator over DC defenders with all these coaching hires. DC defenders, linebacker Gabe Murphy has signed with the DC defenders. St. Louis Battlehawks cornerback Mac McCain has signed with the St. Louis Battlehawks. And then the St. Louis Battlehawks have also re-signed cornerback Keelan Kennedy. He made a post on Twitter yesterday saying he was available, and they immediately signed him. So I guess you can get a job off Twitter sometimes. Okay, Dallas Renegades offensive coordinator is going to be. I said we got all the coordinators for the UFL teams now. Okay, so for the Dallas Renegades with Rick Newhouse as the head coach, offensive coordinator is going to be Noel Mazzoni. They've worked together before with the Arizona Hotshots of the AAF. Defense coordinator is going to be Mike Gilhammer. For the Houston Gamblers, Kevin Sumlin has chosen Eric Price, who was with the Houston for the last 3 years, and to be the offensive coordinator, and Marvin Sanders, who was the Arlington Renegades DC last year. He's going to be the DC. So not a lot of changes here. Kevin Sumlin said he's going to be, using his contacts when I talked to him, but I guess he just took the easy route. St. Louis Battlehawks, we're talking about Birmingham Stallions. Offensive coordinator is going to be Tyler Siskey, and defensive coordinator is Kevin Shearer. Okay. For the Columbus Aviators, with Ted Ginn Jr. as their head coach. And AJ McCarron's the head coach of the Stallions, right? I probably didn't say that, but Columbus Aviators head coach Ted Ginn Jr. Their offensive coordinator is going to be Todd Haley, and their defensive coordinator is going to be Captain Marmelin, I guess. Captain. Okay. We mentioned that a few weeks ago. DC Defenders, offensive coordinator is going to be Fred Case again. And defensive coordinator is going to be Blake Williams again. So they got the whole coaching staff coming back from DC, that one-day UFL championship last year. Louisville Kings, offensive coordinator is going to be Steve Logan, and defensive coordinator is going to be Jamie Sharper, who played for the Baltimore Ravens with Chris Redmond. Orlando Storm, offensive coordinator is going to be Kyle Caskey, and defensive coordinator is going to be Donnie Abraham. Donnie Abraham's been to DC for the St. Louis Battlehawks the last several years, so it makes sense that he came along, and I think his son was picked up by the Orlando Storm, so all signs point to Donnie Abraham stepping right in and just picking up where he left off in St. Louis as the DC. St. Louis Battlehawks have hired offensive coordinator A.J. Smith, who I really got tired of last year with the San Antonio Brahmas. He has a decent offense. He runs a run-and-shoot variation. You might call it air raid. It's a run-and-shoot variation. I think it's kind of boring. He's good. He's a good spring-level coach, but he quit mid-year, so off of that guy. I'm glad he's with the Battlehawks. Hopefully they stink. I hope with their new head coach. Ricky Prohl does not go well for the St. Louis Battlehawks. So over those guys. Yeah, you got the most fans. Yeah, the league needs you. They probably need you to be good, but they're just annoying, okay? Defense coordinator is Corey Chambliss. Okay. And then in the CFL, we had several things go down. Saskatchewan Roughriders signed national defensive back Carpalo Emmanuel Exume. That's all. Carpalo Emmanuel is his first name with a hyphen there, and Exume. They signed American linebacker V. Jones. They released American wide receiver Sean Bain Jr. Montreal Alouettes signed American defensive back Thacarius Keys. Calgary St. Peter signed national defensive lineman Daniel Joseph. They signed American defensive back Tyreen Powell. They signed American wide receiver Rashad Owens. And they released national long snapper Aaron Cropper. Edmonton Elks, they signed American running back Javon Leake. Ottawa Redblacks signed American defensive back Jeremy Lucien. Ottawa Redblacks also signed national and offensive lineman DeRuse Bladek. And Winnipeg Blue Bombers signed American offensive lineman Stanley Bryant. And unfortunately, they signed recently released from Hamilton Tiger-Cats Tim White. So he'll be a Winnipeg Blue Bomber, which, I mean, he dropped a lot of passes for Tiger-Cats, so whatever. But it's just sad to see him go to the Blue Bombers, okay? Whatever. All right, so that is our football scientific show for today. I made some stretch edits. Some people started talking some trash. That's cool, because if you're trolling, that means you're watching the videos. Keep on trolling. Keep on watching the videos. I'm down. I may answer sometimes, but if you pique my interest a little bit. But honestly, I'm just glad that people are watching the videos, and keep doing the commenting. It helps the algorithm of YouTube push us to the top. If you want to continue that, you want to get more personal with it, come on to TikTok. I'm making videos over there, different content, and also I go live at least once a day where I sing some songs and talk some football in between. Sometimes I talk some football during the songs. And just an interesting thing, it's a little entertaining. This came about along the way. I'm kind of finding my way in this social media world as a professor of football science. It's looking for a way to rise to the top, to be different than the others. And that singing thing seems to be going a long way. So if you want to check that out on TikTok, that'd be great. And I have a lot of content over there that's different from this content. And if you enjoy what we're doing here, then you'll enjoy that too. Okay, that's the plan. I'm going to close this football scientific portal for today. Thanks for being with us.